With increased consumption of anime in the West, certain cutesy and colorful conceptions have been made in people's minds. Is everything as happy as it seems, however? We're here today to ask a cosplay club their opinions on anime and its seedier underbelly.
Do you think Japan is accurately portrayed in anime?
Well, from the animes I've watched, no.
That's hard because I've never actually been to Japan, so I can't really say. I think certain aspects are, but again, do Americans portray the United States accurately in comics?
Sailor Moon is a common example of how women are portrayed in anime. Despite just being 14 years old, she's often over-sexualized and portrayed in a negative light.
Do you think anime can have the same gravitas of themes as something like what would be considered great literature?
I think it certainly can. It doesn't necessarily have to lend itself to it in order to be art and in order to have equal merit.
With anime, you do have that potential, actually. I mean, I suppose it really depends on the viewer, but I'd say definitely.
Anime, in my opinion, can probably give a greater impact than literature.
Most people probably won't see it like that, but if it has like the hidden meanings and like the deep impact, it definitely could be.
Okay. And with that in mind and the potential for these kind of great themes, how do you feel women are portrayed in anime?
Well, most of them, they are portrayed as very necessary characters more, so just there to be there. Yeah.
Well, until I'd actually seen an anime, all you see is, anime women with incredibly large breasts and, all incredibly sexualized images. Of course, you could say the same for a lot of Western culture, just not quite as out there.
It depends on the anime, and it depends on who's being catered to as a demographic. And then it also depends on the stereotypes the culture is brought up in.
In Shingeki no Kyojin, there are a bunch of incredibly powerful female characters that do non-feminine things and are portrayed as star characters and kill their enemies viciously and don't need to show anything that's considered, stereotypically feminine, like, fluttering eyelashes or wearing skirts.
As far as the general anime, I mean, it's very stereotypical.
I feel that there are a lot of strong anime women, just like there are a lot of strong TV women, but they often get overlooked because there's just the stereotypes of the culture come into play and they get sexualized or viewed as objects.
Indeed, anime has had a long history of violence and fighting in its shows. Is this something safe for kids to be watching?
Since it's anime and it kind of carries the same stigma as cartoons, do you think it's something little kids should be watching?
Sure. It's up to the parents to determine whether or not their kid is mature enough to handle the themes expressed in each individual anime, but why not?
Just like movies, everything has a rating. All media has set type of programming for ages. Some is meant for kids, and some is meant for teenagers and adults. It just depends on what you're watching.
I don't see why not. Like, there's some like cartoons like here, Western cartoons that aren't kid appropriate. So I feel like it's kind of the same way where some animes are definitely kid appropriate, and then you get to some and they're just kind of like kids shouldn't watch that.
Depending on the version or the anime, I think kids probably should not watch it.
Parents should probably watch what their children watch and then know the pitfalls.
Despite the stigma that anime carries with it, many choose to view it as an art form, more than just cartoons.
Is anime art?
Yeah, I would consider it a form of art. Just like there's the Disney style, which Disney uses, considered a form of art. So I would consider like the Japanese style, since it is so particular to one country. I would consider it a type of art form, a cultural type of art form actually, that takes place specifically in Japan, which would, yeah. So I'd say it's definitely an art form.
It's not just the pictures that's an art form, but it's a story that goes behind it, and it's also the way that's animated. For example, like Neon Genesis Evangelion. I'm not sure if I pronounced that right, but never mind. You have all these weird, trippy scenes where you have like a person's face, but inside the person's face, like within his outline, you have flashbacks of what happened in his past. You have all these things going on, and that's not what you see usually in let's say kids cartoons, and that in itself is an art form because it's telling its story through a different way than conventional forms.
Everybody like has like each anime is like a different, looks different, so it looks like art to me. I think I qualify it as art.
Certainly more than other things I can mention. I mean, it's cartoons and music and drawing, and a lot of art certainly goes into it. Don't see why I wouldn't call it art.
In conclusion, despite its flaws, anime should be enjoyed for what it is. Thanks for watching. Shout out to Cosplay Club. Bye. KK Illy Meow.